Hi y'all, welcome to the Sugar Scoop. I'm cake artist Shelby Bower, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a super simple, easy buttercream wedding cake. This cake is going to serve about 100 people, so it's a really good sized cake. It's a great tutorial if maybe you're already a cake artist and you're making those, birthday party cakes and you want to start making that wedding cake money, or maybe you're trying to DIY your own wedding cake. So let's get started, cake fam. Here's a quick sketch of the cake that we'll be making. It's a 6, 8, and a 12, and it serves 92 people. And here is your cake pans that you're going to need and your cake boards. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our dam. So to make our dam, you're just going to take a piping bag and you're going to cut it about an inch, maybe 3/4 from the tip, and that's how thick our filling is going to be. So your filling can be like 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch thick. So what your dam does is it makes your filling even, and it also keeps your filling inside. Now for this cake, to keep it simple, to just show you guys the basics, I'm just going to do a buttercream filling. You can always fill your cake with like a pudding or a ganache or something of that sort. I have a meringue buttercream. I will link the recipe in the description. So I'm just gonna take 5 dollops of icing, and then I'm going to add in powdered sugar, and I just kind of eyeball this, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to make extra thick icing, and when you put the second layer of cake on top, then it's not going to collapse as easy as it would if it was just our plain buttercream filling. So to fill your bag, you're just going to hold your bag in the middle, and then you're going to wrap it around your hand. And then as you spoon the buttercream in, you're going to pinch it with your fingers to clean off your spoon. This will last us for the first few cakes. So I'm just going to put it off to the side. Okay, I made the biggest powdered sugar mess ever. This is a white almond sour cream cake. It is a very easy beginner cake, and it tastes great, and it has that wedding flavor to it that a lot of people expect. I will link the recipe below. So what I'm gonna do is I want my cake to be as tall as it can be. I'm just going to skim off the top. And 12 is definitely the biggest that this thing cuts. See how pretty this cake is? It's very, very moist, and you can really smell that almond. And this one's so flat, I'm not even gonna really worry about taking off too much. This is so moist. This is not gonna be dry at all, but if you're worried about having this coloring, just cut off the top. I'm just gonna leave it how it is. I'm gonna take our icing, an offset spatula, 12-inch board, 16-inch boards, and I'm just gonna put a little dollop of icing on the 16-inch board. Of course, the 12-inch board on top of that. And then I'm gonna put it on my turntable, and then I'm going to totally coat this 12-inch board in icing, and what that does is it keeps your cake from slipping, and it also helps to minimize, like the cardboard taste can kind of leach into your cake, so it helps to combat that. And you can use a cake mover. I'm so used to picking up cakes, but if you're a newbie, you might want to use a cake mover to pick your cakes up so you don't break them in half. And then I'm gonna line up my cake nice and lined up, and I like to squish my cakes in just a tiny bit so I have a rim around the cake, and that's gonna help me with icing the cake. So see how I have this little rim around the outside of the cake? Oh, you know what I forgot to do, y'all? I totally forgot to cut my cake in half. Oh, the next thing that you guys wanna do, I'm gonna cut this layer in half. This looks even, you can tell. I'll show you guys on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. So what I guys doing. Again, you can use a cake mover. They sell cake movers, sell them at Walmart. And then I'm gonna take my dam and I'm gonna pipe my dam. And then I'm going to fill. And then you're gonna put on your second layer. The way that I'm torting this cake is gonna look very professional because you're gonna have 3 layers of filling when you cut into the cake. Okay, so we're just gonna repeat the same thing. And then we're just gonna put our next layer. Since the edge is going down a little bit, I'm gonna make sure to start my dam just a little bit inside. Again, I've been doing this a long time. I would recommend using a cake mover. And you always want the bottom of your cake up and the bottom of your cake down. That's what makes a really nice flat surface for the cake to stick to the cake board, and a nice flat surface for us to do our crumb coat. So real quick, I'm gonna crumb coat. I always start off with just a big old dollop on the top of the cake. And then I'm gonna get out my medium to large-ish offset spatula. Again, they sell these on Amazon, probably at your local cake store. They might sell them at Michael's, I'm not sure. If you've never used a spatula before, you wanna hold it almost like you're writing, and you wanna hold it kind of at an angle. I say 45-degree angle, but do I honestly know what a 45-degree angle is? I'm not quite sure. So at that angle, whatever that angle is, if you can tell, and that helps get it nice and smooth. And this is a non-crusting buttercream, but you can definitely do the same thing with a crusting American buttercream, no problem. And then I'm going to take dollops of icing, and I'm just going to fill in any kind of space that's in between the cakes to make sure we don't have any air pockets. To poke our cake blowhole, I'm just gonna use a lolly stick. It's a little bit thin, but it'll work. All the way through the cake, and then I twist it and bring it up. And all that is as the cake goes in the refrigerator, out of the refrigerator, it gets hot, gets cold, your cake is gonna compress, it's gonna settle, and the air that's inside of it is gonna come out that hole instead of coming out the side and making a bubble. So now I'm ready to go put this bad boy in the refrigerator and get started on our next cake. To go over it with my bench scraper. And then I'm just gonna be plopping the icing on the sides and smoothing. So just to show you guys, once I have it thick enough, I'm gonna go over it with my bench scraper. Relatively smooth. I still really don't want any of that cake showing, so if it's thin in some places, I'm gonna have to go over it. So I'm just gonna keep doing this. Hey look y'all, it's the royal wedding cake. Okay, so now we're going to start stacking our cake. Here I have a 16-inch cake drum. It's nice and white and perfect for a wedding cake. I get these from my local cake supply place, but they do sell these online. I'm going to take my large cake spatula, and notice I don't have the design on the cake yet. I'm just going to lift it up, pick it up, and set it as in the middle of this board as I can get it. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our dowels in the cake. For the bottoms here, I like to use these. And then we have an 8-inch cake plate. So that's where we're going to be putting our dowels. We're going to keep them within that. So I'm going to put one here. I'm just going to mark this with my thumb. And you want to do the highest point of the cake, which I'm pretty sure is right there. And then I'm going to take a clean razor blade. And then I'm just going to make an incision right there. And then I'm going to cut all the way around. Keep repeating the process. So now I have my dowels cut, and I can just place them in the cake, trying to be as straight as possible. We're going to take another dollop of buttercream and go over the tops of the dowels. This is just to make a nice sticky surface for our next cake. So here is our second tier. Just kind of getting my hands under the cake. And then I'm going to put it right on top of where those dowels are. And where I marked it with that other board. Try to make it nice and straight. And then we're going to do dowels on the top. For the top, I'm going to use bubble straws. They're thicker than milkshake straws, so don't get milkshake straws, get bubble straws. And you want to make sure when you're doing this, you're not doing it on your turntable, you're doing it on your table where it's nice and flat and even. So I'm going to look for the highest point of the cake, which is over here. Poke my finger in the cake. Okay, so I'm gonna put one here. Remember, try to keep it nice and straight. So the dowel that I have is a little bit large, but it'll work. And I want it to be about like an inch or so below the top tier. So I'm gonna cut it about here. So you wanna whittle the end of your big giant stick down to a really nice point because you want it to be able to go through those cake boards super easy and super fast. And then you wanna get a hammer out. What I like to do is stick my rod in as straight as you can, and we want to go through this cake drum as well. This is what's going to keep our cake super secure when it's being transported. And then I like to put a paper towel on top just so nothing gross from the hammer gets onto the cake. Hammer away. Now this is a little bit shorter than the cake, so once we get to about this point, I'm going to need a little bit of help. So I found some chopsticks, so I'm just going to use my chopsticks. And then I'm going to keep hammering until it's gone through this bottom board. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our small spatula. You can use your big spatula if you want bigger lines, but I really like the small lines. And this is all you're going to do. This is so simple. You're going to take your spatula, you're going to start it at the bottom with a little bit of pressure. And you're just gonna use your turntable to make lines. So I bought my flowers from Trader Joe's. You can buy them from any grocery store. Now it's a must to buy ShaneysSweetArt.com. Her how to safely decorate cakes with fresh flowers guide. It's like $10. It'll be the best $10 you've ever spent because it'll give you so much information on how to safely prepare and arrange flowers on a wedding cake. And our cake turned out so cute. I'm super excited about it. If you guys followed this tutorial, please comment below, and I will see you guys next time.